Hello, everyone, and welcome to another YouTube video. I'm Tilda, also known as Tilda Lear, and I am a furry artist. Apparently, I've been doing furry art for about 7 years now, and today I wanted to give you an overview because people have been asking, like my friends, people on the internet. They're like, "How do you do your art? It's like good and stuff." Wow. So I thought I'd go over my process with you. We're going to be drawing Diane Foxington because she's really cute. I like her design, obviously, because I am a furry. As you can probably tell, meow. I'm a cat. Anyway, so before we get started, I want to give a very quick overview of my furry art over the past several years. So, I started in 2018. Again, I've been doing this for 7 years. This is what my art used to look like. I used to do like Looney Tunes fan art. Did some Disney, did some Lola Bunny, developed more of a colorful shading style. This is my first OC, Olivia. She's a fox girl. She's really cute. Her tail looks like a big turd, but whatever. We'll move past that. This is Ashley. She used to have really 80s hair. She's kind of become more contemporary over time. I was very influenced by the 2010s future wave style. Obviously, the actual 80s weren't this purple, but yeah. Another little bunny, another example of my style, was very influenced by Space Jam, colored outlines, cell shading, very Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But in this house, it's always Space Jam because specifically of Little Bunny. She's peak furry femininity for me, at least growing up. Nick Wilde. Sometimes I would experiment with my style, add little black lines to everything. I guess this is a different style. I don't know. Minerva Mink, another big influence. She's a Maniac. She's very cute. Olivia, I love her. I want to pinch her little cheeks. I love her so much. And sometimes I would draw cats. I would draw this cat. Very Cats Don't Dance. You can see her tiny little feet are inspired by the character Sawyer. Love that. This is when I started doing painting. This old design for Ashley kind of looks weird to me because it's a little squashed. I've rounded her design out a lot more in recent years. I used to really like doing like screenshots from animated movies that don't exist. That was my thing. This was very inspired by the movie Hello Dolly, except I called it Hello Kitty. Very cute. You can see I really like the color purple. I still do to this day. My comic Primavera Superstar is very purple. It has those vibes, those colorful vibes. This is Lola again. I used to be very stringent about adhering to the Space Jam style because I really like the whole animated movie look. This is Charlie XCX as a fox from her mixtape Pop 2. When I was recording this, I thought of the phrase Pop Tua and it ruined my mental health and I will never recover. This is back to that movie style. This is Bonnie Tyler in Total Eclipse of the Heart, but as my character, Ashley. She has really long hair in this one. She's standing next to some candles in this window. It's very, very moody. This is, I believe I called her Cassandra. I don't really draw her as much as I should, but this was for my video, how to draw like Vibsy Pop, and you can see it was very influenced by her way of doing art, especially with her furry characters. This is when I did the drawing Looney Tunes as Pokemon, which I later found out was already done by the YouTube channel Drawfee and probably several others, but it doesn't really matter. This was my take on them. So Lilia, Lola, Lorelia. I really like how I interpreted the Looney Tunes designs and made them look like Pokemon because Pokemon they don't wear clothes, but they have like their body is their clothes. Like it's kind of designed in that way. And yeah, I don't know what these magic shapes are, but it doesn't matter. This is Sylvester as Sylvest. If I was a different kind of furry artist who skewed towards men, I might draw him more muscular, but I tend to like people in general to be more femme, more twinkish, you know. Angel Dust. So Angel Dust, this is an example of my character spreads, which are harder to do, but the way I was able to get away with it was forgetting the whole shading thing. And even then, it still took a while, but you can see there's a lot of hearts. He's a very cute boy. I love this boy sex. But yeah, this is Ashley again. You can see the cord telephone, which is what used to be in vogue. If I had to do this differently, I wouldn't cramp her wrists so much, but whatever. We learn as we go. This is the first time I ever used the word squirrel power, which was the working title for my it was originally going to be an animated series, actually, but at the time I was just trying to drum up hype. I was like, I made a whole animated trailer for it. I wanted to see how people would react. They reacted pretty well, but obviously, to make an animated series, you need a significantly more hype than that. But either way, the first time I used the word, I was making comics. I'm going to the store. If you need anything, just give me a call. Wait, what do I do if I don't need anything? I always forget to move me over whenever I want people to see text. But oops. But yeah, so this was my comic. This is me. I was very influenced by the furry artist Terranen. Very cool. It was still my own character. It was my own vibes. Those knees could cut trees. Very sharp shading. One of those things, you know. This is Luna. She was really big on Twitter. My most liked posts of all time on Twitter are Luna because I love Luna and she's very cute and other people love her too. So yay. This is Ashley Squirrel. I redrew her. This time I gave her clothes, you know. Obviously over time I was like, I want to give her outfits. This is still kind of in her Looney Tunes style, but I was starting to redesign her at least a little bit, give her more even proportions, like make her face less short. But yeah. This is the start of 2024, I believe, is when I really started to get into the whole rendering thing, trying to make pieces that looked really like detailed. And this is Luna with her no shirt. This was more of a sort of a kind of like I used Blender to like as reference for the lighting. I put like a sphere in my Blender scene and I used the lighting from that to inform how I lit all the characters, and that is why it looks more kind of realistic, and I think it looks really neat. And this is another rendered piece. I went really hard on rendering each brick. If I had done this differently, I wouldn't have done this weird fading thing with the poster, but whatever. I don't know if this is supposed to be in hell. There's like a star. I don't know. This is very inspired by Lackadaisy. It's very moody. I was listening to Pink Floyd. I was in my feelings. Got that cigarette in there. This is Ashley kind of looking sternly at you. I don't know what I was going through at this point, but I wanted characters to be frowning. And they're looking at you like, what the fuck are you doing here? And I had this iridescent effect on the clothing. Very cool. This is my character. This is the start of 2025. I haven't really been doing as much drawing, but I'd like to get back into that. I've been posting more art on my Twitter and Blue Sky and all my other socials. So yeah. And this is Luna Miku. This is my most recent rendered image. And today in this video, we're going to be doing more of this style. We're going to see how far I can go. I might split it into multiple parts. We'll see. And this is my comic, Primavera Superstar. You can read it in the link in the description. It's on Webtoon currently. I'm going to post it everywhere else, maybe sometime after this video comes up. And here's some of the pages. This isn't going to be all of them, but you can kind of get an idea of what the comic looks like. It's very colorful, very cool. More detailed backgrounds because I'm that girl and I want things to look nice. Very cool. All right, so that's it for the presentation. I had a version of this where I just rambled on for an entire hour. I had a whole bunch of drawings in the thing that I ended up taking out for brevity, but yeah, that's me. That's Tilda. That's my overall style, you know. Anyway, let's get into it. So first, when I do drawings, I like to collect reference. So we're going to be doing Diane Foxington, and I also have outfit reference. So I want her to be wearing like this sleeveless sort of turtleneck kind of look. It might be a bit of a crop top, sort of gets a midriff going, but I want her to look stylish. She'll probably be wearing the glasses that are kind of round, but maybe more fashion-y. I don't really know. I'm not a fashion girly. I'm not too big into the terminology, but I know just enough to get started. So yeah. Yeah. Meow. Okay. So generally, I like to start with a like the very rough. I just want to get the barest minimum down. Like I want to when I do stuff like this, I like to be like, okay, I'm not going to worry too much about how it looks. I'm just going to, as long as I can read it, as long as I can tell like what the thing going. I always like to start with a circle and some lines. So I start with the head. That head's the most complicated part generally. It's the part that needs the most guidelines. So I like to start with that. I like to figure out what the characters going to be looking. We're going to give her her big ears. I might exaggerate it a bit because I like big ears, but either way. So I think I want to do a thing where she's kind of looking down at you, and maybe I'll do a thing like I was showing earlier where they're kind of frowning, like, what are you doing here? Oh my God, what? like maybe she's pulling her glasses down. Maybe it's sort of a hot librarian look. I mean, when I say hot librarian, I literally mean hot girl who wears glasses because people literally call me a hot librarian in real life. Like I leaned into it. I had this picture of me at my job where I had like my black sweater. I was pulling my glasses down and everyone was like, "You look like a hot librarian." And I was like, "Oh my God, I kind of do." But I think it might just be because of the glasses, literally just because of the glasses. So, yeah. Okay, so the eyes, again, I will have plenty of opportunity. This is one of my big art tips is don't be afraid to just throw some spaghetti out into the canvas and then you can always spruce it up later with another layer. This is a big mouth shape. I like to go down like this and then across like that. And we might go with that. So she'll be having these glasses and they'll be kind of big and round, maybe a bit exaggerated for style purposes. Already, I think she looks really cool. I might adjust this. I'm going to break convention and actually do this on a I'm not gonna actually bother to do this on a new layer. I am at this stage I often don't, and I end up making a mess of things that I try to erase through all the mess of guidelines I have laid down. But either way, so she's gonna be pulling her glasses down to look at you. I think this might work, and then she'll have her like hand there, and maybe rotated like that. I want to get an idea of what the body is going to look like. So I throw this down. Again, very imprecise, very much just like it's easier to like adjust things as you're going rather than trying to make it perfect the first time. You really want to get into those iterations, you know? Often the elbows end up becoming really sharp angles as I just be like, okay, the arm goes here and it goes here. So yeah. I might do more of a perspective thing, but this just gives me an idea of the pose. And of course, the turtleneck, I don't think it's going to be that much of a turtleneck. It'll just kind of go up into a collar here, and then we'll go like this. And then it'll maybe cut off here. And then she'll have one of her cool skirts, like this one. Maybe she'll be wearing this skirt. Maybe I'll literally just steal this outfit. I don't know if this is Angelina Jolie or Bella Hadid. I don't think it really matters, but that's what kind of the vibe I'm getting. So yeah, I like furry characters who are like better than you. It's really cool. I like being intimidated by characters a little bit, like, but she's not like. I don't. My idea here is that she's not like mean. She's just kind of like, huh, who are you? I'm very interested, but also I'm like really hot, so I'm gonna kind of look slightly disinterested at first, but I'll warm up to you over time. As you can see, she's a very sensitive soul. She's got her little cat here, so I want to get. I mean, I'm not really conveying those vibes, but I'm gonna focus more on the fashion. But okay, so here I'm going to start tweaking the thumbnail until it looks more like what I want, and then I'm going to start doing more of a perspective thing where I try to get like the perspective right, the 3D, the shapes, shapes in 3D, and maybe her actually maybe her. I mean, it would be cool if her skirt had pockets. I think that's very ergonomic. I think that's very nice. But we can also just do this, something like that, maybe a bit more relaxed, something like that, you know. We'll pull it down like this, and maybe we'll rotate it again. I don't know, kind of just feeling it out. Again, it's going to look like this is just a overview of what the pose might look like. What I did for my Luna Miku drawing that I showed you guys earlier was I did iterations. Like I changed her a lot. It was more flat. It was more direct with the thumbnail. But then as I iterated, I focused more on the perspective. I kind of tilted the angle up, and I think that's literally just what I'm gonna do for this one. I want her to be kind of looking down at you, because that's hot. That is big hot girl energy. So yeah, and then she'll have the that going on because apparently that's really stylish to have like the little cut to show more leg. The reference is telling me that it's actually more around here. That might look nice. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to kind of, because there's a specific way of that it's done, but I don't know. I don't really know. Whatever looks good shape wise, I think is what works. And then her tail. And there we go. Now we're gonna, I think this is a good starting point. Now we're going to scale it up, figure out the, well, since I don't even know what the perspective is going to look like yet, I'm probably going to keep it here for now in this void. Generally later on, I will scale it up to the full size and crop it to fit the image. I like to work more small so that I don't get lost in the details of it, but either way. So now I'm going to focus more on the actual shape of Diane's. So generally, most furry characters, you kind of have the round at the top. Maybe I'll make a color that you can see better. I think green is usually stands out more among most colors, but so like it's kind of like this. So this guideline goes between the eyes, and this one goes at the eye line. I don't. Sometimes it goes. I usually do the bottom of the eyes. You can also do the middle or the top. It doesn't matter. And then it kind of goes out like this, and then the bottom floof kind of transitions into the neck, and then this goes out like this, and there's a bunch of fluff here, and then her ears go out like this. So that's the basic head shape. Oh, and also the snout kind of goes around like this. I like to add an extra guideline for whatever protrusions may arise in the design, which usually they do because I'm a furry and I draw characters with snouts a lot. So yeah, and then there's the, I usually mark where the eyes go, like when they're open, very round, eyeballs are round, so I tend to go round, and then I focus on whatever's going on with the eyelids in these particular expressions after the fact, like so. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm using this reference as sort of a base to show you guys how I do guidelines. And yeah, and then the nose kind of goes here, and then the eyebrows will go here, and usually the ears have this shape. They tend to. And then I guess the teeth kind of do this thing. I don't know. I usually do mouths differently than how the bad guys does them, but sometimes I like to do the bad guy style. I mean, I like round mouth. People make, especially with the release of Pixar's Elio, people have been saying, oh, the bean mouth sucks. The bean mouth sucks. It's so low effort. It's so lazy. It looks so bad. I kind of like it. I don't really mind it. That's not really how I draw, but yeah, it's like it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not always a bean. Sometimes it creases like that. And yeah, so I really like the when the mouth goes in like this. I think it's really cute. meow, that whole meow, yeah, the colon 3 emote. I overuse that emote whenever I'm on Discord. But either way, so yeah, that's the general guidelines. I'm going to make this not green so you can kind of see what's going on. All right. So that'll be a good guideline reference for when I'm figuring out whatever this is. Okay, let's get rid of the green. So circle. Always starts with the circle, unless you're drawing like Phineas and Ferb, in which case it starts with a triangle or a rectangle, but usually it starts with a circle. If you're drawing like human heads, they start with a circle. So I sometimes I get in my own head about how perfect my circle is, but I usually just like kind of adjust it after the fact anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I want to bring this into a more upward perspective. So I'm going to move the line up here actually. And are there any examples for looking up? This is the best example of her looking up. So maybe I'll pull this over and then I'll just pull this over here. Sometimes I like to take reference that I have and then kind of pull it over to where I'm working so I can focus more on what I need reference for while I'm drawing. So yeah, that's the guideline reference from earlier. Okay, so then the eyes would go here. I'm sometimes I draw on the wrong layer. It's really annoying, but either way, let's I was gonna turn this down so I can see what I'm doing better. All right, just getting the eyes. Just eyes are just circles that I add things on later. And then I like to do this shape for the eyes. They kind of curve up here and then they go down. And yeah, so this is going to be very Luna Miku coded because she was also looking down at us. So Luna Miku coded. New sentence. No one's ever said that. Anyway, so then that's vaguely where the eye's going to go. The eye line, the eyelash, that's where that's going to go. That's how big Diane's eyes usually are. Maybe her brows are going to be making this shape. Her snout is going to be having this shape here. I don't know, kind of a whatever. I don't know. It's going to kind of going down like sometimes I just kind of ignore the snout guidelines because figuring the exact shape out is kind of weird sometimes. Sometimes it honestly feels unnecessary, but I know it probably is necessary. But either way, I have a very hacky way of drawing. I kind of just, it's like kit bashing, but with my own lines. It's like line bashing. That's how I would describe my drawing method. I hack things until they look right. So this is probably how this snout kind of works. Maybe it's supposed to be more like honestly, okay. I want to actually figure this out. Okay, so it goes like this. Her mouth is kind of doing this. I don't know. This is the hardest part, honestly, trying to figure out how mouths work on furry characters. Like, how do I? It's like, it's like, it's like, huh? I think this might work for now. Honestly, we'll vibe with it. You know, that her mouth is actually supposed to be closer to here. That I don't know how that's gonna look. Maybe if I add in the neck, it'll. So we'll just add that. We'll kind of go like this. Her fluff kind of flows downward from the top there, and then the bottom line flows in like this. I don't know. I don't know if I like how this looks. Again, very hacky. I usually figure it out on it takes multiple passes for me to figure it out. I chose the worst angle for this. Like snouted characters looking up is always really hard, but it's the vibe I had in my head, so honestly, this could probably be worse, honestly. And here I am flipping incessantly to be like, okay, does it look not too bad? I'm always looking at it from every single angle. I don't even know if you can hear me. I think my voice might have drifted a bit, but either way, we're still chilling. All right, so then the ears go here, kind of like that. I'm gonna change this mouth. Maybe it's like this. Maybe it should actually be bigger. And then we'll actually get her teeth in there. Maybe I'll just kind of like, there, that's better, I think. That works. Okay, so let's thicken her eyebrows a bit. Very hacky. At least I don't have to model this in 3D. That would be like really annoying. So her eyes should actually be smaller, I think. Usually when I'm drawing my own characters, I don't really think about this as much, but I mean, I do have like a model, sort of a on model, a correct way to draw my own characters. I don't necessarily have a sheet. I just kind of draw them and then I reference that first drawing every time. There are a lot of things that I do that as an artist I probably shouldn't do, but I mean, people seem to like it, and my drawings on Twitter have been doing pretty well recently, so I guess I'm doing something right. Even if it feels hacky when I'm actually working on it. But that's the sacrifice I make in order to be authentic for you guys online, so we'll just go with it. All right, let's add in the glasses. Your glasses should probably be closer together, like the ones in the reference. Okay, so at this point, I'm kind of just being like, okay, as long as the final looks good, then we're good. God, how does this work, girl? I need to do this on a new layer. What am I doing? Okay. Because she's going to be pulling them down, but honestly, the whole pulling glasses down doesn't make as much sense when you've got a big snout in the way. So maybe it's not so much that she's pulling them down as much as she's kind of like holding on to them, I guess. I don't know. Okay. So the top of the glasses goes here, and then it kind of goes down like that. Probably. I don't know. I don't know, girl. You're supposed to like go over glasses are supposed to go over the human ears like this. They're supposed to rest on that and the bridge of the nose like this. But she's an animal girl and it doesn't make as much sense. They're just kind of floating there. Ah, this is why being a furry is stupid. You shouldn't do it. It's not worth it. It's too hard. It's too weird. This isn't what I thought it'd look like at all. Ah. But then that's just kind of how it is to be an artist. You don't really know what it's gonna look like. You haven't really been doing things how you're supposed to. You've been hacking everything. This is kind of a good hand shape though. I think this will work for now. Okay, maybe I'll just literally just put these over the eyes. I think there's supposed to be more of a kind of space down here. I don't know. This could work though. I mean, it's not the worst, I don't think. Maybe I'll close the mouth a bit. This looks weird. This is why I didn't want to do it like that. But I didn't want her to be smiling, so... Maybe her mouth should just be closed. That's probably going to be way better, honestly. Let's try this again. And also her eyes should probably be closer together. Not that close. I don't know if it should be that close, though. All right, let's see. Let's start with let's actually focus on like the body shape. Okay. So we start with the upper chest area. I'm going to use the scientific terms here. I'm just going by where they are. This is up here. This is down there. I literally forgot that I erased the glasses. I'll add them back, though. I'm going to add them back right now, actually. I might exaggerate their shape a bit more so that it looks right. Honestly, I feel like maybe the shape, the head should be like less, I don't know. Feels like it should be like less wide. Sometimes I have to break out of the circle that I've drawn for myself, you know? Do something different. Do something to actually make it look more like how I want. See, that's more her proportions. I think that looks more accurate to her model. But I am also trying to do this in my own style, so yeah, it's kind of a balancing act. I will have plenty of time to go back over this later and make everything look better. So I'm not worried. Even if I sounded frustrated, I'm literally just thinking, you know? I don't want this to be like, ooh, and I figured it out perfectly first try because I'm just so good. Look at how perfect I am. No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to show you my freaking failures, okay? You get to see under the hood today because I'm done being nice. Well, I'm done being like not visible. I want to be perceived, but I'm also terrified of being perceived at the same time, which makes you wonder why I became a YouTuber. Maybe I am just a sadomasochist or some sort. So yeah, even this isn't exactly what I pictured in my head, it still looks good for what it is. So I am counting that as a win, and I'm just going to go with this. Because you didn't know what it was supposed to look like, so you in the comments are going to be like, "Oh, it looks good. It always looks good. It was good when it was when you from the moment you drew that rough freaking circle, and it's just suddenly it was just so good. You were truly birthed from the divine froth." Whatever, I don't know what I just said there, but yeah, like because you don't know what I'm picturing in my head, and you don't know the difference, the chasm between what I have in my head and what's going on here. What I have going on here is it gestures in the direction of what I had in mind, but it's not exactly what I had in mind. So yeah, it's just how it is. So now we're getting more rigid with the guidelines. I have a very frantic way of drawing, I've noticed. I kind of go, eh, 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 and then I go, eh. I have a very throwing things at the wall style of drawing. I'm not very well reasoned at all. I kind of just go in, and I think that's kind of just how my brain works. And that's kind of how I developed as an artist was I was self-taught. I never went to art college or anything, but I had like this way of drawing where I would kind of like there was a point where I was like, oh, if I add like 3D shapes instead of chicken scratching the final lines, then things look better. And then I started kind of developing a shorthand for everything. I was just like, okay, chest goes here, and then this goes here, and then because the way I think of art is I kind of have an active imagination, so I kind of picture it in my head, and then I just frantically scribble whatever my brain sees. And then it's usually kind of not what my brain sees because my brain image is not that specific. So, yeah. I generally it's more like I draw it, and then if it doesn't look right, I keep frantically erasing and redrawing or transforming it until it does. And that is why I am more comfortable doing digital art, because in traditional art, you can't do this. You can't like move this. You can't like select a part and resize it and move it around and flip it. But it's not like I can't do traditional art. I think I'm pretty good at that because at the end of the day, you can still like erase and redraw, but still, it's like it's one of those things. I feel like if I did more traditional art, I would honestly, maybe the way I would draw would change more. But either way, we're here now, so. So here I'm going to I want her to be kind of have her hips locked to the side, and then her legs kind of go like this. This is very hacky, by the way. It's like I think of it almost like posing a 3D model. I tried tweaking the bones because I grew up learning 3D, which is why I have those skills. But drawing was something I kind of learned later, but I took to it so fervently that I got really good at that. So that is why I kind of have those two skills. I also dabbled in music. I'm probably going to make a video on this. I learned like a bunch of different skills. just from really, really wanting to do like a whole bunch of different stuff. And then I just sometimes you want to do something so bad that you don't even care if it's not the best. You're just like, oh, for what's here, I mean, for what it's worth, like this is more than I thought I could do still. Because, you know, if you if you have no frame of reference for how good you could be at something and you try it and you're less or you're not exactly completely shit at it, then you will take that not I take that not being shit. I think that's awesome. And then I just kind of go from there. And I also have a very vivid brain and I see things, I make them happen. People think it's really good. I see all the different ways that I could be doing better. But either way, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this is as much of the body as I need to draw for this image. I'm not going to do a full body. I'm just going to do enough so that you can kind of see like what's going on. This hand shape is weird because people don't generally do that shape, but it looks natural anyway, at least when the Looney Tunes do it. I don't know if this looks all that great, but it's kind of you know? Okay, so when I actually do it, I put the thumb in the wrong place. Sometimes I do that, you know, where it's like, I forgot that the thumb doesn't go there. Ah. I also forgot that the hand isn't like this. The arm is, I'm just kind of tweaking it, honestly, in ways that I can't even verbalize because I don't usually talk while I'm drawing. This is very new to me. And this is on a separate layer from earlier because I was finicking around with that. I was fennicking around. I'm sure the fennec foxes out there really appreciate that pun that I just made there. You know that thing in childhood where it's like, if your hand is bigger than your face, it means you're like really stupid. And then you put your hand from your face and then they fucking smack you, like in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Generally, the hands are about the same size as the front of the face. So I usually draw hands smaller than they should be, which is something I'm trying to fix. Like with my Squirrel Girl art piece that I did recently, I made the hands bigger. And because I was trying to kind of match the proportions, and I was like, oh yeah, those are really big, but it looks pretty okay. Looks like, all right, I'm rocking with this, you know? So I've been trying to make my hands just a bit bigger than I'm used to. And it usually looks better, I think. I guess it depends. It's like it's proportions. If you can have small hands if the face is also small. Generally, you can just do whatever you want. I mean, it's art, but there are some things that generally look good to most people, and I like to go with those because it leads to more social media attention, apparently. All right. And this is coming up as my favorite part, where I draw these things. Whoa. Yep. Yay. Yeah, I usually draw the boobs too high when I start. I don't know why. I just kind of, yeah, and then I'm like, oh, that doesn't look right. And so I tweak it until it does. That's how I roll. Like, I think they're supposed to be down here. I also don't think they're supposed to be this big, but I mean, what's supposed to? Like, it's art. You can do whatever you want. You can make the melons as big as you want. Literally, it doesn't matter. I'm a lesbian. It doesn't matter. I want it to at least be somewhat, like, realistically draped over the chest. So, I want it to look right. And then maybe I should pull this part down, and then I look better with the hand. Make her, like... Might also make her slightly wider, too. Because that generally looks good. This is kind of... I don't know. I think I might have forgotten the whole upward perspective thing. I also don't know. Her arms don't look right. Again, very hacky. I'm like trying to desperately duct tape a somewhat good drawing together. Because I am a mess. And yet everyone thinks I'm this crazy savant. I'm not. I just tweak things until they're not as bad as they otherwise would be. I mean, I do have an active imagination, which helps, but really it's just like, I mean, not everyone can be like a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere. That's what Anton Ego from Ratatouille says. Me, I come from the garbage bin, but I rise above, you know? Because I gotta. I don't know why the hands like rotated. Maybe it should be more flat. This doesn't look... I mean, I don't know. Honestly, her hands should probably be doing the thing that real human hands do. Which is... Yeah, that looks a lot better. Jeez, why didn't I just do this? It's because it's always weird when I have to wrap a hand around a hip while from the side, kind of. But yeah, this is all right. Actually, maybe not. Maybe it's not. Okay, let's we'll have her like grabbing this part. No, it looked good before. Let's do the thing I did. Maybe I'll point it up more. I don't know. Whatever. This is approaching decent, I think. I am now going to do another hack. Actually, I'm just going to do it to the whole thing. Where I see if I can't, like, funnel it out like this. Nah. No, you know what? This is good. We'll just work with this, you know? we'll do the tail. She's not naked, by the way. Like I said earlier, she's going to be having this. It's good to have the body as a reference when you're doing your stuff. So it's going to be more like this. Maybe it goes more like this, like around the part where the chest funnels in. That usually looks good on crop outfits. And then we'll have this part here. And then I'm going to add a layer mask so that I can get rid of all the stuff under it so you can actually see what the clothes are doing. Or how it'll look in the final. Yeah, this works, I think, for our purposes. I think it works. It works okay. I might literally do another version of this on top where it's slightly different, but yeah. All right, so what I'm going to do now is go back over this, maybe make some changes, and I will just cut to a time lapse so that I can go ahead and finish this within a reasonable amount of time without making the video too long. Yay. And we're back. I just realized I forgot to do this. Because I noticed in the earlier one that her face is longer, so I'm going to fix that right now. And there we go. So this is basically going to be the reference that I used for the final line art. I also used it as an opportunity to clean up the shapes, make it look more pretty, because I can actually, with this line art stage where I'm doing the rough final line art, the rough version of the final line art. I usually, because sometimes I get bogged down in the all the shapes and stuff, so it's better to just look at it. For me at least, it's helpful to look at it from a perspective of just like, what do I want the lines to look like? If I'm just focusing on the lines, then I don't have to worry so much about making the shapes perfect. I can just focus on what looks right. But that's just me. I do still do the 3D phase because it really does help to keep things in perspective. But from there, I usually like to just use that to adjust the line art on top of the rough layer. So now I'm going to do the final line art, and it's going to be really boring, so I'm going to go back into time-lapse mode. Yay. Yay. And we are done with the line art for this Diane Foxington piece. So yeah, as you can see, a lot of the design decisions that I make while drawing happen in the later iterations. It's funny because it's supposed to be built on top of the basic rough blocking stage, but then I kind of just go off on my own sort of tangent and just end up changing everything anyway. So you can also see the pattern on the turtleneck. I copied the layer and moved it to the right. I thought it added some extra detail that I liked. Try to make the lines conform to the shape of the wrinkles. That always looks really nice. And I do think I was able to capture the overall look I was going for with the drawing. I know things started out kind of and I wanted to really show my process, like the way I think about things, how long it takes. It's annoying, but it's also still kind of fun to experiment and do different things with art. And yeah, that's something I really wanted to show off today. So this is the end of part one. In the next part, we are going to color this. We're going to add shading and a background. That could be its own part, honestly. If I decide to do like a full background, like a 3D or something, and then I paint over that, that's a whole process that I want to get into in a future video. So, yeah, we're going to finish things off by doing a little prep work so I can post the work in progress on my social pages and I can make it look nice. So I'm gonna make it a foxy orange. And yeah. Um, actually, why am I? Well, as if I was doing the color, but no, we're selecting the area around it and then we're going to invert it and make it all a single color because that's faster. And also, I do not want to fix all the tiny, because that's a huge part of coloring is fixing all these tiny little gaps. But for now, I think this is good. I'm going to switch the background to white. And there you go. I think this looks nice. I want to make it sort of more subtle. Maybe I will give it just enough of a little flourish. Maybe I'll do the eyes. All right, yeah, this looks pretty good. In fact, maybe I'll even do the thing I do where I select both the liner and the color layer. I go in the back here and I expand the selection slightly and then I fill it in so it, well, maybe I don't want it to be that thick, but yeah, make the line art slightly thicker. So yeah, this is where we are so far. I think it honestly looks really cool with just these minimal colors, but we'll see what we can do in the next part. Thank you all for watching. I think this is really fun for me to do. It does mean that my art's coming out slower on my pages, but I think it's worth it to capture what it's like to work on furry art and make something cute and fluffy and all that stuff. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Meow. Meow. Meow.